So unless you've been living under a rock in January of 2025, all you've heard about lately for the past week or so are pardons. Pardon this, pardon that, pardon me. Pardon versus pardons, right? Two presidents, ex-presidents, future presidents have done pardons of different people, and depending on what your point of view is, what team you're on, red team, blue team, you agree with one, don't agree with one, you think one is ridiculous, you think one is the truth. That's not really the point. The point is, what does all this mean for you in society? Look, a pardon is a way to get somebody off the hook, right? And both of these people who issued pardons want to get people off the hook that are associated with themselves, family, aligned in terms of beliefs and morals and values. And it doesn't matter what your opinion about it is, that person who gave the pardon is trying to help themselves. But at what expense? 99% of the people in the country agree with one set of pardons and disagree with the other. And it's about 50-50. Half the people agree with one and hate the other, and vice versa. But in reality, they're either both right or they're both wrong. There's no middle ground. If somebody did something wrong or potentially did something wrong, or even if they didn't do something wrong, if they were wrongfully accused, convicted, or were going to be wrongfully accused, there is a legal process to go through. Now, if that legal process is corrupt and somebody was convicted improperly or accused improperly or even investigated improperly that cost them money, there are remedies for that that are more complicated, more tedious, appeals, lawsuits, other types of social remedies. They may take a longer period of time. It may be more inexact, or might even not be 100% certain. But those are already in place. Once you bypass those and go to pardon, now what you're doing is you're short-circuiting those other processes, which make them less valid and less usable, but also it kind of says about the person who's giving the pardon that they're taking that shortcut. Now, granted, there are good reasons that both people took that shortcut in a selfish point of view and even an altruistic point of view. The question is, what does taking that shortcut do in the long run? Maybe it has no effect, but in reality, what it probably does do is has the effect of unintended consequences. Now that it's been open up the floodgates, open a can of worms, whatever metaphor you want to use, in the future, anybody who can issue a pardon, a president, a governor, anybody who has pardon powers, has kind of now been enabled to say, wait a minute, it used to be kind of taboo. It wasn't like your first go-to thing that you do pardons. It was pretty rare. It was only in very extreme cases. Now, it's almost like the taboo has been broken. We can do it however we want, or for whoever we want, which may allow for more bad acts to happen by people associated with a person with a pardon power. Because they might say, well, if I could do these bad things, I can probably get away with it. Or even do things that aren't illegal, but are just on the gray area, because they figure, you know what, even if I get in trouble, it's such a gray area that of course I'll get this pardon. Whether they do or don't doesn't really matter. Their perception is, now that pardons are more common and frequent, things that are gray area, maybe not 100% illegal, will be less risky, because you don't have as much risk of having your life ruined by even a prosecution that you're found not guilty. Look, if you're arrested and indicted and prosecuted, even if you're found not guilty, you're probably out of pocket hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars in money. Your lost reputation, lost job, many. You will be back in your video in just a few seconds. In the meantime, remember that actualhuman.com offers you live one-on-one private video consultation with an expert in this exact subject. We want to listen to your story. We want to hear your questions. We want to give you expert advisement of your options and tell you what we know about your particular situation. Now back to your video. Things, you don't want your name in the news for something like that. So many people stay away from that gray area, stay away from the legalities, because they realize, look, I don't even want to get close to getting into trouble because it's not worth it, even if I win. knowing that pardons are more rampant might get more people to go close to that line, which might reduce civility. At the same time, people even who would never do that look at people in power, they look at people who have that ability with cynicism and say the whole system is rigged, in the same way that there are people right now that have less credibility towards the medical industry because they believe that there were things that were said that were falsehoods, that were admitted that they said things for the wrong reasons from the medical community. They're not believing anything from the medical community, and that might be at their peril. There might be things that doctors and medical communities say that could help you with your health and well-being, but you don't know what's true and what's not true, so you would just disregard all of it. That same blanket mentality could now filter down to politics, even more so than it is, where you might not believe even people who are on your team. If you're on the red team, you might stop believing the red leaders. If you're on the blue team, you might stop believing the blue leaders because you believe that all of them at some point are going to be not credible. So this is a way to erode that confidence. And again, this is nothing new. I didn't invent this. People have been talking about it for a while. But it's important to realize that if you're looking at these pardons and you say adamantly, I hate this, this is terrible what this person did, whichever side. But then on the other side say, well, this one was okay for whatever reason. Try to reframe your head and do mental gymnastics to say either they're both right or they're both wrong. And do kind of a trial argument in your head of why they were both right or why they're both wrong. Even if you don't stick with that conclusion, go through the mental exercise to see where that takes you in your head, because it'll give you a better understanding of your side and it'll give you better understanding of the other side that will give you valuable insights and intelligence about how the world might change over the next years, months, or even decades. Because once you know how the power system works, you can use it to your advantage. Look, you're probably never going to get a pardon from a president personally, but the fact that that is now a different world changes things that might have a domino effect, a ripple effect on you at some point in the future. It may take years to get there, and it may take several other presidential terms for this pardon expansion to even get more crazy. But at some point, it's going to have an effect on your life or somebody in your life. So the more you know about it now, even if you don't have a direct association with it, doing that mental exercise will also get you to avoid what's called the home team effect. If you're a fan of sports and you go to a football game, you're going to see every call that the referee makes against your team as that was a bad call, that wasn't holding, that wasn't a foul, that wasn't a strike, or whatever it is. And every call against the other team, you're going to say, yep, that was right. That was a strike. That was out of bounds. Because you're biased. If you can eliminate your bias and still follow your team, you will be following your team because of logical, rational arguments you can make rather than just blindly following them out of blind faith. And here's where that comes in. I'm sure that one of the arguments you make against the other team, the red team, the blue team, is they can't articulate why they like the other side. If somebody asks them, why do you like this person, or, why do you support that candidate, and put the microphone in their face, and they can't give a good reason, you say, see, they don't have a reason, or the reason doesn't make any sense. That's because they're blindly following the other side of something they may not even be aware of. But if you can eliminate all your biases and come up with the valid reasons, now you will be more solid in support of your side and have to rely less on emotion and less on panic if something happens that's not to your favor. Thank you for watching another episode of Actual Human Advisory on Describe TV. Remember, we have live one-on-one consultation appointments available at actualhuman.com, where you can book a one-on-one undivided attention live call with a licensed investigator, a licensed insurance broker, a licensed mortgage broker, real estate broker. I'm also a certified real estate title examiner, a certified civil court mediator, along with having developed and started over 15 businesses, several of which were sold for millions of dollars. So if you do have questions in any of those categories, you can arrange a one-on-one live video consultation. Use the link below and we'll see you on the next video.